I was awoken by an ear-splitting wail, much louder than the other screams and close, very close. My eyes shot open, and the light hit me like a fucking train. The orange light had become blindingly bright, and I re-shut my eyes for a moment to allow them to once again adjust, this time to the light. I slowly opened them again, and saw that it was emanating from the ground. The underground chamber had been illuminated except for the ceiling. I looked down the corridor, and I gasped in horror. The whole bunker contained millions of mutilated people who were, like me, stuck fast to the walls. Their insides dangled before them like swinging pendulums in time to their writhing. Many of their rib cages had been forced open, exposing their vital organs. The broken piece of bone digging into their lungs and part of their livers. A pool of blood had gathered at the feet of every one of them, and I saw that the water on the walls was not water at all, but rather blood. Blood in various entrails scattering the walls and floor. Why? Why indeed, my unfortunate friend? Why indeed? I was in shock and awe that every one of these poor souls was still alive, and all the while screaming. Their digestive tracts continued to work as normal, but they had turned black from the lack of oxygen, and were spilling out of their bodies in a twisted knot as they shat themselves uncontrollably. Their feces spilling out of their defiled anuses, lathering their legs and feet. Their excrement was unusually viscous. These wasted bodies must have all been fed through some sort of drip, but I couldn't see any tubes or syringes. Maybe they were being force-fed. Either way, it was disgusting. I gagged at how stretched their chewed-up limbs looked and how incomplete they were. And that's what I decided to call them. The incomplete. This slaughter chamber stretched for miles, and I wondered to myself exactly how many people were here and how, in the name of God, they were all still alive. I figured they must have been administered regular shots of adrenaline and God knows how many other chemicals. But the fact that not a one had died was simply too much. I looked to my left, and amongst all the incomplete, I saw someone who was totally whole, strapped to a wall like me. It became apparent that this was the person who woke me, because she was giving choke screams in between great long sobs of panic-filled crying, way more audible than the others. I tried to call out to her to try and calm her down. I thought that the sight of a fellow being would give her a sense of some relief, but she was so scared and distraught that she didn't hear me. The orange light burned behind my eyes and imprinted itself onto my retinas. It began to shimmer and distort before me, and I noticed a large black mass gathering before the poor girl. It was as if all the shadows that were being cast in the bunker were being manipulated by some unseen force and being made to group in front of this terrified young woman. The dark figure that was materializing seemed to slowly suck all the light out of the chamber the more it grew, as this malevolent black specter rose to about 10 feet, broken looking. Distorted limbs started spreading from it. They were long, and seemed sharp, even though this shadow had no details as of then, just perfect blackness. Finally, this shadow man stopped growing and began to shimmer, not with light, but with some kind of supernatural energy. It's hard to describe, but it was as if something inside of this, whatever this dark creature was, started to pulse and throb, as if trying to force its way out. The incomplete had become eerily quiet, and a look of primal terror had come over each and every one of their faces. They knew what this thing was, and they were afraid of it.